As a salon or spa owner, cosmetology school gave you the skills to serve clients, but it definitely didn't teach you how to run a business. Somewhere along the way, you probably thought ownership would mean freedom, but instead you're working more hours than ever, barely paying yourself, and low-key worried everything's going to fall apart the second you step away. Welcome to the Beauty Biz Breakdown, where we give you the real strategies, systems, and structure that you need to fully step into the CEO seat in your beauty business. Hey there, welcome back to the podcast for salon and spa owners who are ready to actually fix what's broken in their beauty businesses. I'm Brie, and as always, I've got my bestie and co-host Chandra here with me today. Hey girl,
Hello, hello.
how are you?
I am doing good, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to start today with something that makes a lot of owners pretty much instantly uncomfortable. And if your stomach tightens just a little bit when I say this, just stay with us for a second. One bad review, just one, can send an owner into full panic mode faster than almost anything else in this industry. Not because the review is always accurate, but because it's public, it's permanent, and it feels like you have absolutely zero control once it's out there. And something that we see happen all the time is owners either they completely overreact emotionally or they freeze and they try to avoid it and just hope that it goes away on its own. Neither one of those are going to work because the truth is, it's not the one-star review that usually causes the real damage. It's how the owner responds when the pressure hits. So today, we're talking about the reputation response system that every salon and spa owner needs in their back pocket before the messy moment happens. Chandra, you and I both know when a spicy review hits the internet, what's usually the first emotional reaction that most owners have?
I think they freak out and they start trying to blow up their business most of the time. Like they don't look at it in a logical way. It's more emotional, like you said, instead of just handling it. I don't know. I just feel like it's funny. I remember when that first happened to me the very first time, and I was like, oh my God, and I was panicking and I was trying to find out what happened with the client and the stylist, and it just you get emotional and you get crazy.
You do. It really, really affects you. I mean, once again, our businesses are our babies, right? And so it really, really affects us in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of times we just cannot think logically when things like that are happening. So reputation stuff just kind of hits different once you've been in business for a long period of time too. I think there's a big difference in that first year or two and then year 15 or 20. When you first open, a bad review feels super loud and it feels dramatic and honestly kind of a little shocking. And then if you fast forward a few years, your client base is bigger, your team is bigger, and now that one kind of spicy review, it sends you into a spiral, but it's a different kind of spiral. And so you really have to figure out how to navigate this. Listen, guys, if you're out there and you've ever just stared at your phone thinking, are you freaking kidding me right now after reading a review? Congratulations, you are officially a real salon or spa owner because this is absolutely normal. However, what is not normal and what gets people in a lot of trouble is how reactive you get in that stinking moment. You have to hear this. When that notification hits, your nervous system, it doesn't say something like, okay, let me respond calmly and strategically. No, no. Your brain goes straight into, I need to fix this. I need to fix it immediately. I need to defend my team, or I'm going to lose my mind if I don't say something. And this is exactly where things start to go sideways. I was the worst about this. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I wanted to just start typing immediately. It's so hilarious. One thing that, and I did in the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes. Then I learned that I could just text my husband exactly what I was feeling. And so that gave me a little bit of breathing room for just a second. Look, guys, you've got to realize how important your response is. Okay. Future clients are not just reading the complaint, they are quietly studying exactly how you handle it. They are asking themselves, okay, if something goes weird with my appointment, how is this place going to treat me? That is the real things that matter. Now, there are, I think, four situations that tend to show up again and again inside the beauty industry. And I think each one of them will test your leadership in a slightly different way. Chandra, the first one is the completely out of pocket 1-star review. You read it and you're sitting there like, did we even see this person? Every owner has had at least one of these at some point in their career, I think. The temptation here is to jump in fast and just start defending every little detail. I get it. Your team works hard. You know what it actually happened sometimes, and sometimes you don't. Like you're kind of in leeway sometimes. That makes it really hard. But your public reply is not about winning the argument. And that's what you have to understand. Your reply is about showing the hundreds of quiet readers out there that you are a calm professional business, even when someone is having a moment online. Chandra, have you had one of these before? And have you kind of fallen off the deep end in the past?
I have had one of those before, a couple times, not a lot, but a couple times. And yeah, those, I mean, they're just as what it is. You can't, there's not always something you can do. I think there was only one time I ever fell off the deep end with one of my responses where I went crazy, and it came back to bite me really bad. And after that was like my lesson of, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to start an internet war with some person going back and forth over public review site where everybody can see it. And so that was the only time I think I really ever went crazy, and it definitely came back to bite me. But yeah.
I know one time I went completely crazy and I had a legit reason to. We literally had never seen this person in our business. And I responded in not such a good way at all. But I knew the reality of the situation. And so it was really hard to keep my mouth shut. But after a while, we figured out that we had never seen this client, that it was an ex employee who kind of, was trying to get back at us. But it's just crazy that people can leave reviews with no proof that they've been into your salon. Yes, sometimes the 1-star reviews are people that have been there, and sometimes it is our fault and things have happened. But it blows my mind that you can just leave reviews on anybody's business or about anybody's business without proof that you've actually been there. I don't know how we could change it, but it really, really sucks, in my opinion.
Yeah. We had that happen once with somebody that just didn't like our parking. And
Crazy, right?
they never even had a service. They just parked in front of our business and they were complaining about the parking on our, but that's the problem with that stuff though, is it hurts your rating on those sites, right? You can't get Google to take it down or whoever, because it's like they don't listen ever. And so you just have to learn how to navigate that stuff in the best way that you can.
Yeah, you really do. The second situation is when a guest starts applying pressure for maybe a redo or a refund or maybe even special treatment. And you can feel exactly where this conversation is headed, right? And I think this is where a lot of owners they start second guessing themselves because they don't want conflict and they definitely don't want a bad review hanging over their head. It's a total human reaction. But when your policies start bending based on who is complaining the loudest, clients are going to pick up on that faster than what you even realize. This can be a really big problem for your business. I have to talk owners in BBA off of the ledge when it comes to this all the time because they just want to give in. They just want to give in. They want to give this person whatever they want just so they don't get a bad review. Chandra, we go through this constantly. Have you had this happen in your business? And explain kind of how we coach owners through this when it's happening in their business.
Yeah, I mean, I have had it happen. And the first time it happened to me, I would say I did give in. And I did, when you do that, it never sits right with you. You always know that you were in the right and that you did nothing wrong, but you got sort of taken by this person, right? And so I always remember that, and I've never done that again. Now, I mean, we don't encourage it, but when somebody comes in and they're trying that, we're just like, okay, go ahead. Like when they're like, oh, I'm going to leave a review if I don't get a refund, or I'm going to this or that or whatever. Because I know now if I publicly respond to whatever they say in the correct way, it's not going to hurt me negatively, and I know we didn't do anything wrong. And so I think that's the biggest thing is you can't let those people get to you in that way. You have to just Go ahead. Like, I'll deal with that when that happens. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, that's not a situation we deal with very often, but now when we do respond in that way, they don't even leave a review. Like, I never even see anything happen usually. And so I think that's, one of the biggest things to stop stressing. And I think that's kind of how we coach people through BBA too, as well. It's kind of just like when you're having those things happen, if you have all your stuff in place, your systems are in place, your teams work, everything is good, then you can stand on that and you don't need to be worried about these people that are trying to take advantage of you. And I think that's the best place to be as the owner, when 100% without a doubt what this person is saying is wrong, and you just don't have to worry about it. They're going to do what they're going to do anyways.
Well, and half the time the story is like unreal. It's like they want a refund from 4 months ago because their blonde turned a little bit brassy, yet they didn't come in for their appointment that they had pre-booked with you know what I mean? Like it's craziness half the time. Absolute craziness. The third one is the ex-employee situation, which can get emotionally loaded very quickly. This is where I think I see owners get pulled into the weeds the most because you know the full story. You know exactly what happened behind the scenes. And every part of you wants to correct that narrative publicly. I get it. I understand the urge. I really do. But we have to remember the internet is not a courtroom, and long defensive explanations, they almost never land the way that you think they will. There is the stylist exit ripple effect that happens in Salon, Chandra. The one nobody really warned me about when I was opening my salon. I'm telling you, reviews are something I wish somebody would have prepared me for because I had no idea. This is kind of when a team member leaves and suddenly clients have questions. People are messaging the front desk, and you can feel the temperature in the business just kind of start shifting a little bit, where I see leadership get kind of shaky if we're not careful. And it causes a lot of issues because sometimes those clients will put things as a review and they want to know exactly what happened, or they have the stylist side, but they don't have yours. And so they are literally dragging your name through the mud when it's not what happened. Have you had to handle this before? And if so, how did you handle it?
I mean, not so much in a review sense, but in the salon, like we've had people. I remember when I first opened my salon, there was like a lot of negativity on the other side where we came from. And so clients would want to come in and want to talk about that or want to ask questions or bash the other place or all these different things. And we just created a policy of no tolerance. Like, we're just not going to talk about it. We're going to change the subject. And even if we've had employees leave or things like that happen, and then those clients sit in other stylist chairs, and those clients want to have that conversation with the new stylist about, well, what happened, and they want to start all this drama around it or complain. We change this. We just say, you know what, just didn't work out. It is what it is. We wish them well. All is good. Move on, because it's just something that we just aren't going to tolerate, that negativity. And I think if they leave a review online, like, that's just how we would respond to it as well. Like, we wish them well, no bad ill will. We're just not going to get into it with these people.
Yeah. I remember coaching a salon owner who had this happen in their studio, and it was reviews that were left, and it was left by this ex employee's family members. And it was, I mean, she had a big family. I'm going to tell you, it was a big family, and it caused a lot of issues. And this salon owner kind of went off the deep end. And I was like, one of the things that I told her is that the owners who protect their reputation long term are not the ones who never get negative feedback. I think that is so important to remember. They are the ones who stay regulated when everyone else is getting worked up. And for some reason, that stuck with her. It made sense to her. And she was able to course correct and kind of react the way that she needed to. Now, she put a few things on there in the beginning, but she was able to course correct, and it was really good. I know that's easier said than done when you are tired, when you're overstimulated, when you're already carrying a lot on your plate like a ton of salon owners are. But I promise you, you are always going to get negative reviews in your business. It is going to happen. One of these four situations is going to happen to you at some point in time. Chandra, you and I both know how fast owners can really spiral when it comes to these reviews. You know, they see it on their phone. Like, we get messages in Slack from our members all the time. From what you've seen, Where do you think out of these 4 areas owners kind of spiral the worst, and how could they start course correcting almost instantly?
I think the biggest thing is when a client is leaving a bad review about an experience, and they try to defend that experience to the fullest, and sometimes that's not always. Sometimes the client could have had a bad experience. So I think the biggest thing of really course correcting is just, I always tell people, first reach out to the person, not on the internet. Like, call them personally, find out what happened, find out what went wrong, like before you sit and make this huge response of something crazy, because you don't always know exactly what happened, and sometimes the stylist is right. Like, we've had it be both ways. But I think instead of losing your mind and going on this like rant of arguing with somebody over the internet, it's much better just to handle it internally. And that's what I always tell our members to do or recommend that they do. And that's our first thing that we always do when we see something before we respond at all, is try to just reach out to the person.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our salon, we have a 5-step response system, and anybody can use this when things get a little bit heated. So the first thing that we kind of lock in is who actually responds on behalf of the business. Because sometimes when you finally get to the point where the owner is no longer needed in the business, there can be confusion when it gets there, right? If your front desk is sometimes replying, a stylist jumps in other times, and then you're in the comments at midnight trying to clean it up as the owner, your brand voice is going to get messy really, really fast. So we have one person who owns the public responses, period. That is going to be very, very important as you move forward. Um, I would recommend figuring out who that is. And it does not have to be you as the owner. However, you need to make sure that whoever is doing it speaks the way that you would speak and speaks for you. So they need to be trained in how to do that. Second, you need a calm public reply formula that is ready before you ever need it. Like, we actually have these templates now. So that a way you're not creating them when you're irritated. You're not creating them when the group chat is blowing up. You're creating them, or you have the bones written ahead of time. So we try to have something created for almost every situation that we can think of. It's pretty simple to do, but I would highly, highly recommend that. The third thing that we do is we do a private follow-up lane that your team truly understands. This is kind of what Chandra was talking about. If somebody leaves a rough review and you decide that it deserves outreach, who's going to make the call? So you figure that out. What tone are they going to use? What solutions are actually on the table, and what is outside of your policies? All of that needs to talk about, because this is where owners get in trouble. Because when every situation turns into like this custom emotional negotiation, the business starts training clients that pressure equals perks, and you cannot have that. The structure in this situation is going to protect you more than what you think it will. It's very, very important. So whatever structure you want to use, if it's take it offline, if it's do this, if it's do that, then you need to have that and figure it out. Fourth, this is the disengage line, or that's what we call it. There are going to be moments where you have responded professionally, you have invited the conversation offline, and the person is still trying to pull you into the mud publicly. That is your cue that not every situation needs 10 back and forth replies. So we actually have followed rules in my salon of what is allowed. You can respond this many times to this template. You can respond this many times to that template. It keeps things from spiraling, from draining your energy, and actually solving nothing. The fifth thing that we do is we build a 5-minute weekly reputation check into our leadership rhythm. So when I have check-ins with my leadership team once a week, somebody on our team is quickly scanning those reviews. They are flagging guest issues. They are looking at anything public that may need my eye on it or leadership's eye on it. Not obsessively, that would be insane, just consistently. This has prevented so many surprises because we catch things early on instead of finding them 3 weeks later when things have already picked up traction, right? If you get something on Facebook and you miss it, that can blow up really, really quickly to where it's a huge deal when it could have been just a simple freaking response. I would encourage all of you out there to put a system like this in place. Chandra, do you have something like this in place in your business?
Yeah, we have something very similar. We've got all of the scripting for every possible situation when it comes to whatever the review's about. We do have a designated person who checks it. Our CRM software has the capability of scanning Instagram, Facebook, Google, and Yelp. And so she checks it every the beginning of every week and just sees like if there's anything new on any of those platforms, and she can respond to them right through the CRM software. So if you guys have that, that's a really, really easy tool. I know a lot of them have that now. So that's something I would check into if you aren't using that. And then, yeah, we always respond. We take the conversation offline. We don't sit and go into all these different things. And it only gets brought to my attention if there's something that they feel like they can't handle. Otherwise, it's always handled.
I think one of the things that everybody out there needs to remember or realize is that this is why documentation is so freaking important. I don't know many salon or spas out there that actually have documentation for the appointment, for the reservation. And we teach this in BBA. We have what's called the client diary system, and you put things in there. So my employees can let me know if something felt off, if there was something that was mentioned that could be an issue later on. And all of those things have to be reviewed by somebody in leadership. Even if you're solo, those things need to be documented because it could be your saving grace at the end of the day. So document everything. It doesn't have to be a novel. You can come up with a system of some sort that answers the most pertinent questions, but it's like an end of day report. So after every single service that you do an end of day report about that client. It's really, really simple, but it can save you a ton of headaches down the road. That being said, let's jump into today's listener question. Chandra, this one came in from an owner who said, my team's energy has just felt a little off lately. Nobody is being outright negative, but the vibe just feels kind of flat. Productivity is fine. Clients are coming in, but something feels different and I can't quite put my finger on it. What do I look at first when the energy in the salon kind of changes like that?
Yeah, I mean, usually there's definitely something going on. It may not even have anything to do with the salon, but it could be somebody's bringing something in with them from personal that could be affecting your team. I think really just having a conversation with them and asking them. Like I've had this before where we've kind of all sat down. I've just been like, "Hey, things feel a little off. Do you guys feel it too?" Like kind of bringing them into the conversation and kind of see where they're at. And usually it's usually something that's not that big of a deal, but it is something that's a big enough deal that it should be addressed. And so I think it's good just to have that conversation with your team and kind of see where everybody's at, kind of see how they're feeling and kind of go from there depending on whatever they say.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing, I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. One thing that Chandra and I find quite frequently is when the vibe does kind of feel off, a lot of times it comes back down to leadership. There's something that you haven't done consistently. There's something that you haven't led on. There's something you haven't coached on. You haven't guided on. You've let systems fall. You've let structure fall out of place. And so people get in their feelings about that stuff. And that can really change the vibe of your culture if you are not careful. So that is one of the first place that Chandra and I tell everybody to look. You always have to look at yourself first. Salon owners are notorious for blaming their team, and we're just not going to do that anymore, right? We're going to point at ourselves first and then move forward. All right, let's get this wrapped up. Reviews are part of doing business in this industry. Weird ones, unfair ones, emotional ones, they come with the territory the second you open your doors, I feel like. What separates the owners who stay steady from the ones who feel constantly stressed is whether there is real structure behind the scenes or whether everything still runs through your emotions in the moment when you are going to respond to these things. If your current approach is basically crossing your fingers, responding on the fly, and, just saying whatever pops into your head, that is usually a sign that your leadership and systems have gaps in them underneath the surface. This conversation about reviews isn't about whether your business is built in a way that can handle pressure without everything feeling personal. That's not what it's about. It's about deeper operational work that you need to do. And this is exactly what we help you do inside of the Beauty Biz agency. Because what we find a lot of times is if owners tend to fly off the handle when it comes to a review, they're probably doing that in other areas of their business as well. And so this is kind of what we help you do at the Beauty Biz Agency. If you are ready to tighten your structure, strengthen your leadership, and just ready to stop feeling like every situation turns into a fire drill, you can grab some of our free resources or explore some of our coaching options anytime on our website at thebeautybizagency.com. If you enjoyed this episode, if it spoke to you, if it helped you, share it with another salon or spa owner who needs it. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us more than you know. Make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss out on what we have coming up next. Chandra, how can everybody stay involved with us?
Yeah, stay connected. Make sure you follow us on social media at the Beauty Biz Agency on Facebook or Instagram and the Beauty Biz Mentors on TikTok. You can shoot us an email at admin@thebeautybizagency.com with any topics you would like us to discuss on the podcast. We love hearing from you guys. And yeah, just make sure you stay connected so you don't miss anything.
Absolutely. That's a wrap. You've been listening to the Beauty Biz Breakdown, where salon owners stop letting online drama run the show and start leading like the CEOs they were meant to be. Until next time, keep your cool, protect your reputation, and stop giving every loud opinion more power than what it deserves. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger. If this episode lit a fire under you, don't just walk away and let it die out. Deep down, you already know where you want your business and your life to go. And the truth is, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is a real plan to get you there. That's exactly what we help you build. So if you're ready to stop trying to figure it out on your own, head to thebeautybizagency.com and book your free strategy call. That call can give you the clarity that you've been needing and a real plan to move your business forward. Because at the end of the day, the only thing standing between you and the salon business you've been dreaming about is whether or not you're willing to take the action and the steps in order to build it.